Hello there, YouTube. It is your boy B3, back with another kicking graphic novel review. Today's trade is Batman Volume 7 Endgame from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Batman's greatest foe has returned for one last gag, but this time not even the Joker is laughing. In their last encounter, the Dark Knight failed to live up to the Joker's grand plans, which is death of the family, which we have reviewed. Check it out. So now the Joker is deadly serious. Yeah, it's from like 2015-ish, written by Scott Snyder, who does great work, and Greg Capullo, fantastic art. They just really work so well together. And their Batman run was a horror book. It was less of a superhero-y action book and more of a horror book. And I think Batman really works as a horror book, as many would agree with. So I really appreciated that. Plus, horror is my favorite genre, you know. And while I do usually prefer more hopeful superheroes like Superman and The Flash, this is just really good horror stuff, you know? Normally, Batman's not my go-to DC hero. It doesn't mean I don't like him, just a lot of modern Batman stuff. It just feels like they're trying to be as dark as possible. But I hear that James Tynion in the fourth run isn't like that at all. Anyways, this is a really good book. The Joker has like a healing factor now with this Dionysium, and he's like manipulating people into thinking he's this really old guy that's been around since Gotham was settled and has been healing. And he's just playing a bunch of mind games. Crazy Quilt is in this for a short period, which is wild. Batman fights a Jokerized Justice League at the beginning, which is kick-ass. And the Joker kind of reveals that he knows Batman is Bruce Wayne. And he's like, hey, I'm kind of getting bored with you. You really disappointed me before. You're not the same Batman that I used to fight. And so now I'm going to finally kill you. And I'm going to kill this whole city. And then I'm going to leave and go fuck with some other hero. Which it's basically what he tells Batman. And there's like this big reveal that a character from another book that people had really liked was the Joker the whole time, which was really wild. This book is the book where the events happen that lead to Duke becoming Bruce's ward. A lot of stuff goes down in this book. You see the Court of Owls, you see a bunch of classic Batman villains, a bunch of Bat family members, and then, big spoiler, Batman and the Joker both quote-unquote die in the end. And what happens is they're fighting near this Dionysium pit, which is like a pure Lazarus pit. It's just the pure stuff that the Lazarus pits are made of. And they get crushed by debris, and they do die. Their skulls get crushed. Just absolutely destroyed. And then the Dionysium leaks into them, and it like fixes their heads back. It fully renews their bodies, so like Batman's scars and stuff are gone, and it puts both of them in their prime, but they both completely lose their memories. They're like clean slates because their brains were destroyed and rebuilt from scratch. So it kind of makes sense. So, you know, this book ends with Batman and Bruce Wayne being dead, Alfred being freaking disabled. Poor guy. Best Bat character, who's still not alive, I believe. He was killed off in the Tom King run. And it's just absolutely whack. It's really whack. Truly. It's a fantastic story. It's beautifully drawn. The colors are perfect for the story. I love the artwork in the 2011 to 2016 New 52 Batman run. It's gorgeous. It's magnificent. It's horrific. I love everything about it. Scott Snyder's writing is fantastic. This leads into kind of the super heavy stuff where Jim Gordon's like a corporate Batman, which I thought was really good and should have lasted longer. I'm not going to lie. We'll talk about that more because it's the next couple volumes. But yeah, that is it for Batman Volume 7 Endgame from the New 52. I'm not going to take all day with this one, but it's really good and you should definitely read it. It's a crazy Joker story, and it's just all around great. You know, Snyder and Capullo really knew what to do with the Joker. They knew that less was more with the Joker, so they didn't have him show up in the title all the time. There's like two Joker stories, and they were both big status quo changing stories, which is what should happen when you fight your arch villain. You know, I maintain that every arch villain for a superhero in a comic book needs to either seldomly show up or always be present. Because like when the Joker seldomly shows up and they're not there all the time, it's like, hey, we know this is going to be something big because the Joker showed up. He only shows up for the biggest stuff, you know? And I feel like Rebirth was like, let's show the Joker as much as possible. And then books like Green Lantern do it a different way, where it's like, I remember in the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run, Sinestro was around like all the time. And the fact that he was always present is what made him the arch villain. But it kind of just depends on how your villain works. Like the Joker, I don't think would work being in just somewhere in every Batman story, but Sinestro does because he and Howl are so similar. But the Joker and Batman are opposites. So I feel like opposite supervillains like that really need to show up seldom and really change the status quo, whereas supervillains that are almost exactly like the hero, like Sinestro is with Hal Jordan, you know, having them around all the time for that moral clash is a bit different. I need to do a whole video on that to really explain it well. Maybe one day, I don't know. But that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And I'll see you all next time.